I'm going to massively regret saying this, but I'm putting it up for Compete for Cars. You can go and buy tickets for this car right now. So over a year ago now, I bought a crash damaged M2 Competition, and here she stands today, all fixed. Now, if this is the first time you're seeing this BMW M2 Competition and you haven't subscribed to the channel before, click in the top right hand corner and go and watch the videos up to date. But what I'll do is I'll give you a quick overcapture here, because I appreciate it's been some time since the M2 was last on the channel. So please welcome to the channel my new broken, smashed, absolutely ruined BMW M2 Competition. So looking back, what a journey it's been, and it started with me not even being able to move the car from where it originally parked, and that is because the near side front suspension was completely knackered, and I had to replace all the wishbones, all the steering arms, just so I could get a wheel on it, just so we could drive it into the workshop. But we finally got it driving and into the workshop, and that is where we get up on the ramp and start stripping all the damaged panels, all the plastics, all the damaged metals, and stripping it back down to a bare shell pretty much. Even had to cut the roof out because that was damaged as well, and that was a big task. We replaced it with the carbon roof, and that went on by gluing it, and it was also bolted in 4 different places as well. But that completely transformed the look of the car, and there we can see it look absolutely lovely. And then it was a case of fitting the both screens back in, fitting my near side rear quarter, and standing back and admiring the work. Now, there are around 7 episodes on the car, so go back and watch all those, and I'll see you back in a minute. So I don't actually know if I've shown you the car with it back from the body shop. The last video might have been when it went to the body shop to have everything else painted, all the front end, etc. So I've added a carbon spoiler lip as well. So what I'm going to do now, battery's been on charge for a while because it's been sat here for ages. I mean, just look at all the cobwebs in the wheels. I mean, the wheels is the only thing I've got left to get done as well. But there are a few things that we need to do to this car, which is the reason it's sat here for so long, and they are not actually to do with the crash itself. Now, the main issue I have with it, I may be able to show you straight away. So if we just unlock the car, if I open the door, it doesn't do it. Of course it doesn't do it. Why would it? Let me try the passenger door. Absolutely incredible. Looks like I'll just have to explain the problem. So basically, for a while, every time I've opened the door, the fuel pump has primed and there's been a ticking noise from under the engine. And this is quite a common problem on the S55 engine, mainly in the M3 and the M4. It shares the same engine as the M2. And it's a common problem with the valvetronic motor. And it's expensive and I think a pig to do, and I've never done one before. I don't know if you need any special tools. I'm going to try and attempt to do it in today's video, guys, but at the minute it's not seemed to be playing up. So we're going to start it up, let it warm up for a little bit. Right, this car's mugging me off. I've just gone to turn the ignition on to start the car, about to film it, and it's just made the noise. So I'm going to try and make the noise by turning the ignition on. The trouble is I need to keep batteries flat, I need to hold it on the steering column, so I need to do 3 things at once. Let me just try and right, listen. There you go, did you hear that? That is our noise. And also, guys, I've put it on the socials, but the previous winner of the Audi S1 took the cash alternative, so the S1 is back on, and this time I've set the cash alternative at £7, so you'd be very silly not to take a car. We will get rid of a car, and yeah, this looks really good, to be fair. It's had the new windscreen fitted, it's been to the body shop, so the offside rear is now looking absolutely perfect. Look, So the car is now completely done, apart from a centre cap, which I need to just put back on. So it is ready. Go grab your tickets, guys. I'll put the link in the description. I think there's only a few thousand left, so go grab them, and someone will be getting this 450 horsepower Audi S1 for a couple of quid. So here it is in its fully completed form. I have no clue if I've actually shown you the front end all colour coordinated to the car now. I think the last time I have shown you it was when it was orange, but yes, looking really, really good. So as I said, the exterior of the car has been complete for some time, which was the original crash damage and the reason I bought the car. And we have a few things we need to do, being in the engine. And there's also, I don't know if when we went on road, there we go, look, hear it. Ha! Got it on camera. I don't know if we heard it on road test, but there was a droning noise coming from the offside rear. Now, I've had it up on the ramp, and I got someone to sit in it and drive it while I was on the ramp, and a good way to see if it's a wheel bearing, if it's not immediately obvious by spinning the wheel. It's quite hard on this because obviously it's rear wheel drive, but it is to hold the coil spring with your hand, and if you can feel a lot of vibration through it, it's an indication that the wheel bearing has gone. Now, there was, I mean, I really hope it's not the diff. I'm hoping it's a wheel bearing. There was some excessive vibration through the spring, but it doesn't match the sound, if you get what I mean. So the sound coming from the offside rear is worse than what you'd imagine the vibration through the spring would be. But I have an offside rear wheel bearing. We are going to be fitting it in today's video, guys, and I'm fingers crossed that will just fix that. But otherwise, rear spoiler is obviously now done. Carbon roof, she is looking well. So let's get her into the workshop, and I'm going to start on the engine problem because that's the one I don't want to do the most. So we've got to start with that. Now, I know you're all thinking it, this car is pretty much immaculate. So if I was buying a new car like an M2 Competition, how would I ever know that it's been damaged? And that is where CarVertical have kindly sponsored today's video. Now, CarVertical is a really simple check that you can do in around about 5 minutes on your phone. All you've got to do is put the registration or the chassis number of the car into your phone, and it literally brings up a complete dashboard about the car's complete history. And the first thing it brings up, it tells us the chassis number of the car. We've just put in the reg and it's told us the chassis number, and now it's up to us to check to make sure that's correct. Now, there are several points on a car that you can do that, namely on a windscreen, and also there are points in the chassis itself and usually a sticker somewhere on the car with the chassis number on. If you match all those three up with what you're getting on your phone, then you can be confident the car hasn't been stolen or cloned or anything like that, and that is one massive tick straight away. Another thing it comes up with is theft. Is it currently wanted, outstanding for stolen? We have odometer. Has the clocks been wound back? Is the mileage genuine? This is a low mileage car, 15,000 miles, so we can see if that mileage is genuine or if it's ever had a recorded higher mileage. And we can see financial. Has it got any finance outstanding on it? The last thing you want to do is buy a car, it's financed in someone else's name, you find out a year later, the finance company just take it away from you. So that tells you whether there's any finance outstanding. And also the main one for us is damage. Now, we know the car's damaged. Well, we can see that the last known mileage, 15,000, so that's good. It means we haven't been clocked. And we can also see that category S write-off in December. Is that how long I've had it? Oh, I've had it a long time. And we can see a market value of around about £36,000, which is about right, I guess, for the car. And we can see it's also got the pictures from when it was crashed at auction as well. So if you click the link in the description, guys, use my discount code for 10% off, and it gives you peace of mind that the next car you're going to buy is genuine. It's as simple as that. So let's lift up the bonnet, and it is an absolute state. Don't worry, by the end of this video, this car will look brand new. But moving on to what we've actually got to do, if I'm honest, I don't have a clue, but I'm 99% sure it is under all this. Yeah, under all that, I think I've got to remove quite a lot of stuff. But the general gist of things, yeah, it's quite involved, to be fair. So we're going to have to remove, so the carbon brace, I think the airbox, the scuttle panel, this plastic shield here. We're going to have to remove the rocker cover. I think we have to remove 4 spark plugs, 4 injectors, and then we've got the eccentric shaft, which should run along here. And we've got to try and get the valvetronic motor off of that. There is a way you can do it. I've watched the video, so I'll probably watch it again once I get to that point, just so I know exactly what we're doing. But basically, the motor just adjusts the camshaft depending on engine revolution or engine RPM, sorry, and just makes it basically more efficient at high RPMs. And yeah, that is what is making that ticking noise. Quite a common problem on the S55, and I think even older ones as well. So I'm just going to put it on a long time lapse. I'll probably talk through what I'm doing, but I'm going to try and get the best visual that you can see. It's this valve here. I think it's something to do with variable camshafts, not 100%. I'm going to do some homework tonight, and I'll see you in the morning. So I started off using an airline and just blowing all the rubbish out the way so I didn't get lost in the engine at all. And it's removing the strut base. There was a cross member as well that goes across two struts. There was like to remove the wiper arms, the scuttle panel, the air intake, the charge pipe cooler, the charge pipes, the rocker cover plastic, the injectors, the fuel rail. The list goes on. There was a lot of things I needed to remove just to get the rocker cover off, in fact. So I thought I'd just pause the time lapse there and just explain what's going on, because this is, it's quite a big job, and I haven't even got the rocker cover off yet. So yeah, I've probably talked over the time lapse, but we are down now. We can see the cylinder head and the rocker cover. So I'm at a point now where I've just removed the wiring for the spark plugs, injectors, etc. And there's probably about 10, 15 of these E10 bolts to remove to take the rocker cover off. And that should then give us access to what we need. I don't even know what that is yet. I believe this is what we're replacing. The valvetronic motor there, I believe that is what it is. So yeah, let's get the old rocker cover off. And I've plugged up all my holes, obviously, because there is a lot of them to stop bits falling in places where they shouldn't. So I've just done it by removing injectors 2 and 4, which enables you to get the coil pack, like recess bucket things out on those two, this thing here basically, on cylinders 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Here's our motor here, which we're replacing, and it's on a spur gear which is connected to the camshaft, and that is how it works. Now, there is a stopper here, so if you can see, this is the camshaft, and you can see this lug that's pointing out, and that is where I've removed the stopper bolt, which basically stops it from going past that point. And we need it to go past that point to be able to remove the spur gear off of the valvetronic motor, so we can remove it. So I'm just in the process of just slowly turning it anti-clockwise. You can see there, look, to get it off, so we can then remove the motor. So I'm just going to keep doing that now, because I don't know if I need to counter hold it with this. Some people have said you do, but I can't see why. It doesn't make sense. So I am just going to hold it just in case it flings off or something. Right, so if I now just pull the camshaft away, I don't know how, like that, and try and get this out. I don't know how. It's not bolted in. Oh, there we go. There we go. And there we go. Removed. So that's now the motor removed, and we've got to check our gear as well for any damage, because these are also a common problem. But you can see there is a little bit of wear on it, but it's no more than wear. Look, the teeth are all completely intact and absolutely fine. There's no damage to it. So luckily we just need to change the motor. And good news, our new Valvetronic has the exact same part number as the old one, which means a very common problem they haven't bothered trying to rectify, because all the numbers are all exactly the same, which means it's exactly the same part. There's probably going to fail again in another 20,000 miles. So yeah, really good there. Nice one for fixing the problem, so we don't have to change them again. But anyway, we got a new one going in. That is the original one that was on the car when it's brand new. So let's stick our new one in. So it's just started pissing it down. Tin roof makes a lot of noise, but we are, where's my spanner gone? Fantastic, here it is. Just gonna put the new motor in. I'm trying to put it in upside down, I'm a moron. Right, let's get that bolted in. So I've reinstalled the stopper, which you can probably just about see there, look. And I've put the bucket in for cylinders 3 and 4. So I'm going to put it all back together now. Everything is back to where it was, new one installed. So yeah, I'm not going to bother putting it on a time lapse. It's exactly the same as removal. It took about an hour and a half to get to this stage, purely because I'd never done it before, filming it, etc. So to be fair, once you've done it a few times, it's not actually that bad at all. It's just a lot of faff removing all you've got to remove to actually get to the part. But once you've got to the part, it's quite straightforward. So I'm going to click my fingers and it's all going to be put back together. Yeah, awful transition. I've gone back to using my original camera as well, so it probably looks completely different. And I haven't quite finished it. I've done the classic, dropped one of the main bolts, look, that goes behind the scuttle panel, dropped it down the side of the engine. I've now got to put the car up in the air, take down the trays off just to get that epoxy bolt, which means I can't put any of the scuttle panel on until I've done that. So I thought we'd just, I'm annoyed about it. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna start on the wheel bearing, but the engine is all back together. I've tested the ignition, no fuel leaks, and there's no clicking noises straight away either, which is good. So I'm gonna, yeah, we're kind of done. Let's crack on with that offside rear wheel bearing. So here's our wheel bearing. Unfortunately, it's the press on, press off type, which is, oh, they're just an absolute nightmare because trying to get them off, I've only got a little 10-ton press, so it's gonna be fun. So what I'll do as normal, I'll put it on a time lapse. Basically, we're gonna be stripping the caliper off, taking the disc off, taking the drive shaft bolt out. The drive shaft will either have to come off fully or we might be able to just prise the bearing off the drive shaft. And yeah, I mean, I've never done one before, so I'm kind of just going off experience from other cars. It should be fairly similar, but yeah, let's crack on. So after starting to strip this down, I quickly realised it was going to be easier for me to remove the whole hub instead of try and faff around removing the drive shaft, pull that out, and there's just no space. It's not like the front axle where you can move the hub and it's just fixed. So it's easy to just remove the whole hub, and that's about 5 or 6 suspension joints. But once you've done that, remove the disc, remove the jump for the handbrake, remove the ABS wiring, the whole thing just pops off the end of the drive shaft and you've got a lot more access. So I thought it was easier just to take the whole hub unit off, just because of the drive shaft, trying to get that out. With the front axle it's a bit easier because you can turn the steering, but with this obviously you can't on the rear. So I thought just a few more bolts, take the whole thing off, and then I've got a lot more room. Now, I'm trying to, I can hear a very faint rumble. I mean, fingers crossed, obviously this fixes it, but I really hope it's not the diff. So we've got 4 bolts to undo on the back here, which obviously I couldn't do with the drive shaft in. Get them 4 out, bang it out, and then we're gonna have lots of fun trying to remove it. So I put this on a time lapse because I assumed it was gonna take at least 20 minutes to get this out, but it literally took 10 seconds. Well, I'm not gonna lie, that went way better than I thought it was gonna do. You can see my very dodgy makeshift press here. I've had to invert the bars here so I could fit the wheel bearing housing underneath it. I've had to put these in to stop it from sliding off. I've had to put a strap around it to stop it from pressing out, but bit of heat and yeah, it's pressed it off. So I'm gonna let that cool down for 10 minutes because I have just applied quite a lot of heat, and we'll try and press the new one on. That went way better than I expected. We might have to cut though. Yeah, it's pulled, so the bearing's split in 2. Normally what happens is when you press it off, the bottom half of the bearing stays on the stub axle, whatever you want to call it, and the top half stays on the bearing, so we may have to cut the bottom half off yet. So we can see here, look, we've split the bearing in half, and you can see all the ball bearings exposed there. And here's the other half of the bearing still on the shaft. So the easiest way now to get this off is just to cut it. So we're going to get the grinder, just cut across here, which will weaken it, and then we can just pry it off with a hammer and a chisel. Now, this is the bit that you need to be super careful on, pressing the new bearing on. It has to be completely square, otherwise it can easily just ruin the new bearing. If you try and press it on not straight, then it just completely messes it up. So just got to try and be as careful as you can. Yeah, see straight away, actually, is that? It's really hard to tell. See, I ended up turning the bearing upside down here and actually pushing the stub axle into the bearing. It seemed to work a bit better. There we go, I think we're good. If it snags at all, yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. What's that nice noise, look. If it snags at all or gets tight, then you know it's no good. There we go. Now, looking at the old bearing, you can see inside, it's going to be quite hard to pick up, but the grease looked quite gritty. Now, I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera. I don't know if you can see there, look, but the grease looks quite gritty, like it's got some dirt in. And that may be the cause of the very slight whirring that I was hearing. Now, I still don't fully know if this new bearing is going to fix it, but new bearing we have all now installed, so that is now ready to go back on the car. So now what we've got to do is just refit it all, and don't worry, there's another transitional masterclass coming up. So bearing on. I haven't edited yet, obviously, but I'm guessing that transition was top tier. So there we go, all back together, guys. So I just need to put the wheel on now, get it back on the ground. Oh no, I need to get that bolt from the under tray first. Look, I don't know if you can even see it, it's right in there on a stupid little bracket. There it is, look. Epoxy things. Right, guys. Nice little road test of the M2. It is all now completely done. No faults on the dash. Very weird driving this. Not the most flattering camera angle I've got there, but there we go. Oh, it feels weird, look. And we're going to check that wheel bearing straight away. I do need to adjust the window a little bit. But good news is, that window's really nice. Yeah, good news is wheel bearing noise has gone away, so that's good. And yeah, driving this for the first proper time. I've had this well over a year. It's weird to think I've had this over a year and not, I've driven it I think once and that was it. But brakes are probably really rusty. But this, it's like the C63 of this in terms of how quiet the exhaust is, inefficient, but then how mentally loud it is. Way too loud in my opinion when you put it into sport. And if anything, I'm a little bit scared to drive it. Rear wheel drive, 600 and I think 30 horsepower this thing's got. I think I've got a dyno printout for this car at 615, but I believe it had a few more tweaks after that to around 630. So yeah, it's mad, especially when this is obviously only about 1500 kilos as well. Insane amount of performance. Yeah, so you're going to see in a minute. I've cleaned it. It looks absolutely awesome. So I'm going to reveal it just after this little test drive we're going to do. Nice and dry now. Luckily it was wet this morning. So in drive, it's driving sweet. Gearbox is good, as you'd expect. I mean, it's a 68 plate. It's only done 15,000 miles, so you'd expect it to be absolutely spot on. But what we can do is, now the oil's up to temperature, I've been driving for 5 minutes. Right, BMW, how do we work this thing? Right. I'm going to put it in sport. Sport. And then, I think is this it in? It's got pops and bangs, this is rubbish. That needs to come off. It sounds awful. Against the trees now. Jesus. Oh, this is brutal. Do you know one of them cars that are just too fast? Like, I remember driving a 700 brake RS6, and although I had a lot more confidence in that because of the Quattro, it was just it's just too fast, like, for a country road. This has a similar vibe, but I'm scared to fully commit due to rear wheel drive. I've never driven this before. Like, once you're used to this, in the bone dry, obviously we've got new Sport Contact 7 tyres on, so that will help. This will be an absolute animal. It's just a different, yeah, it's mental. Right, we're going to turn it around here, I think. I'll tell you what I do like with like the Merc and BMW, which are obviously rear wheel drive, so the fronts are a lot shorter front end, and they just feel nicer on the front end, so like it feels lighter, the turn-in's a bit sharper, and you can notice it is nice. That is how dangerous, I suppose, this car can be. But against the trees again, look. Windows down. Okay, I've got a grin in my face. I'm not supposed to. I'm supposed to be an Audi boy. I keep saying hoot lately and I don't know why. Okay, this is addictive. This is epic. For some reason, I don't know why, it stopped overrunning. It stopped crackling. I don't know, it's a bit weird. Right guys, so I'm now joining a line of traffic back to the farm, so I'm going to stick it back in comfort. It goes absolutely silent. Back into there we go. And I'll see you back at the farm, and we're going to reveal just how good this thing looks, because yeah, it's epic. So we are finally cleaning it for the first time, and just check out how good this car looks. And here she is. Now, just take a moment to appreciate how good looking this car actually is. And I'm going to give myself actually a pat on the back, because this is perfect. It has come out way better than I imagined. Everything is absolutely perfect on it, apart from the cracks from the exhaust. But it just looks so good. And especially with, obviously we've got the black styling, but the carbon roof against the Hockenheim silver, it just looks absolutely incredible. Look at that. And obviously we've got our carbon boot spoiler now as well, which pretty much completes the look of the car. And yeah, I just keep staring at it. It looks absolutely epic. And that, guys, is the M2 done. Now, I'm gonna massively regret saying this, but I'm putting it up for Compete for Cars. You can go and buy tickets for this car right now. I don't want to get rid of it, but at the same time, I don't have time to drive it. It's now done, so I don't have any other purpose for it. I think for me, owning the car, for me, was about fixing it, showing you guys, and the journey to restore it to what it is now. Now it needs to go to the other part of the journey, which is one of you guys to win it and drive it how it should be driven. I'll be honest, I'm not gonna have time to drive this. It's just gonna be sat there. So one of you guys need to win this car so you can drive it how it should be driven. I am gonna regret saying that, but yeah. What a car. So guys, that is the end of the road for the M2. I'm going to get the 4 wheels refurbed as well, guys, and then it'll be absolutely ready to go to one of you guys for £1.99. So please, guys, let me know in the comments, what did you think to the M2 build? What was your favourite part? What could I have done differently? And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video, which is going to be a new car reveal, and it's going to be probably a 2-parter again. But as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video and this series. And yeah, go grab some tickets. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.